Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Real Life, Real Beauty, a podcast about art, real life, and the story behind both. There's joy to be found, something bigger, and while we don't have all the answers, join us as we chase the echoes of an unseen kingdom. I'm your host, Cale Summerlin, and joining us today is Gabriel Cathey, a student at Bryan College and one of my best friends. I love this man. This episode is untitled, but I will give it a title after we record it. And today we're discussing worship music. So we're going to talk about our experiences playing worship music or hearing worship music or being moved by it. We're going to talk about our favorite songs and discuss kind of the meaning that goes into the songs. So with that, let's get started. That was a good one.
Nice.
All right, Gabriel, welcome to the studio.
All right. Woo-hoo. Glad to be here.
Yeah,
Heck
man.
yeah.
Heck yeah. Tech yeah, as we say.
You're
not saying
I'm not
that.
from here.
No, you're Brian Lion.
I am a lion.
You're a proud lion.
Yes.
See, I dual enrolled there for 2 years, so I'm a griffin. I'm part eagle, part lion.
Half and half, a little bit,
Well, it's more like 2 and 4, but so a third, I guess. A third lion.
I guess.
But at heart, I'm half a lion.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay, dude, for an icebreaker question, what's like your best friend memory of us as like bros? Like because we've grown up together.
We have. There's been a lot, but one that comes to my mind is like just going over to each other's houses. And I remember when we got all like our Legos on the table, like you came over to my house and we got all the Legos on the table and we just started building like random crap.
Yeah.
Just like it was like we built that one big fortress thing. I forget.
Was it like a Minecraft house?
No, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I have
it
a
was
picture
that
of that.
big thing. It was the coolest thing that I think I've ever built. Like, not using instructions. It was like because I can't build. Like,
Oh, you
I
can build.
I can build small stuff.
I've seen your stuff. It's so cool. You make like little ships and you have like these little details. Like you use hands as guns. It's so cool.
That's fun. I can't build like big, like buildings. But so that was really great. Like I love just hanging out and trying to build stuff and like make stories. You know. Yeah. It's really great.
Dude, I really should just do an entire episode on Legos. Like, some of the best times are just when you get a bunch of bricks and you just build something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I remember, I was going to say this. I thought of this when I wrote this question. I was like, I think my earliest memory because I actually remember when I met you. I don't remember when I met Timothy, and I don't remember when I met Clayton. I've known Timothy since I was like, as young as I can remember. Clayton came along sometime in like elementary school. But I remember I was doing like YMCA soccer and I met you.
Yeah.
We were on the same team. And I remember because speaking of Legos, I was like into Ninjago and you were like, "Oh, you know about Ninjago?" We were like hitting it off with Ninjago.
Oh man.
And I just remember you were just like a little guy, which I was a little guy, but I've always been a little guy. And then now I'm still a little guy. But yeah, anyway.
Oh man.
Like you three guys outgrew me quickly.
I thought it was during soccer because
Yeah.
I don't remember like meeting people unless it's like in the past like 5 years. Because
Yeah.
if it's past that threshold, it's like they've always been there. It's weird because I never really paid attention to things when I was a kid.
Yeah, same. People will talk about like, "Oh, I remember in 4th grade." I'm like, dude, I don't remember grades. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I get that though. The 5 years ago, like when I started like dual enrollment at Bryan, I was just like when I was like 16, I only remember things since I was 16. Like, I don't remember what it was like before then.
Oh man, it's crazy.
But yeah, man. So yeah, I was gonna have you on the show to talk about like worship stuff. So as I understand it, you go to Bryan College. It's Christian. It's a private Christian college in Dayton, Tennessee. And you just switched your major to worship studies, but
did.
You've done it before. So like, Yeah. Is there something you want to talk about that, or do you?
I have been involved, especially in my church, New Union Baptist Church back home.
Yeah.
I've been involved quite a bit in there with like children's ministry and just the worship ministry in general, and just I just love like wanting to like worship the Lord, and helping to lead worship is when I switched my major because I felt like that was something that I was called to. It had been like a long time coming because I switched it from physical therapy. So it was a big switch for that was like going from physical science to worship arts is a giant switch, but
Yeah.
like it's crazy. So just trying to, what am I trying to say? It's really like I changed because I didn't feel like I belonged in that major, I guess.
Yeah.
It felt like I needed to, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I felt like a calling that I was kind of just ignoring, I guess, for the past few years.
Yeah.
And it's just like I can make money in this. I can try, like, an excuse I would give is like, I'll be able to help people. Like, I'll be able to like use this as a ministry, which I could have, but it was more of just an excuse to be like, I want to be financially stable. Where really that's not the most important thing.
Yeah. Okay, so starting off, so growing up in my church, like I had, like our worship, I want to say was like no, our worship was great, but it was like I guess a little more minimal than not most people, but like some people grow up. So like we had a piano, and we had this amazing selection of pianists that would come, and also it was really cool is like at the like during the like when we're passing around the offering plates, we would have somebody come up and they would do like a special song. So we'd have like a kid come and sing, or like a choir, like some different instruments, like we'll have like a bluegrass ensemble or something. So we had like a lot of creative stuff, but I didn't grow up with like, I don't know, whenever I think of Christian worship experience, I think of like a band, you got like the keyboard and the guitar and the bass. Like I didn't grow up with any of that. So like, but like I don't know if you have either. So like tell me, what was like your early experiences with like worship? And,
Oh boy.
And like your interest, I guess.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. Okay.
I grew up in a Church of God.
Okay.
Up until like middle school, I was in Church of God. And it was really, really odd to me just seeing like it was a full band. Like we had a choir up there every week, and it was. I still remember like my dad would be like sound check. He would be up in the balcony back here and doing sound, and I would be up there most every week, and I would watch, and I'd be like, it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Like it's got the energy, but it's a lot of the songs that we sang I didn't understand, but now it's kind of like it was more focused on the individual.
Okay.
And I remember the first time that I sang, like I did a special, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like 8 or 9. I was young. I do remember, but it was when Our God came out by Chris Tomlin.
Okay.
That like so overplayed song on the radio nowadays.
Wait, is that the How Great is Our God? Is that
No,
one?
it's Our God is greater. Our God is stronger.
that one.
Yeah,
The radio one.
The radio one. But it was right when that came out, and we were like, yeah, let's sing that one. And I sung through the first verse, and as soon as like I finished the first verse, someone started like screaming and running down the aisles, and I got off track. I had no idea where I was. I was so confused. I was kind of scared, honestly. Like it was odd just seeing that, and I never really understood why. And there was a lot of stuff that we didn't agree with going like as we went along. Like we knew the people there, and it was good fellowship. But a lot of like the teaching and what we were singing just wasn't the most theologically grounded,
Okay.
where it was more focused, it was more focused on like what I want rather than what God has for me.
Like
And
kind of an experience thing, like
yeah,
emotional.
it was more of emotion than it was actual worship. So it's interesting to look back on it now and see how different it was, because after we left that church, we came to New Union, where we are
Okay.
now, and just seeing like it was more like back to hymns, and
Okay.
we focused on the songs that we sung more. It was like we were very careful about how we picked our songs, and I didn't sing again until like high school. After that, like I was like, "Is this gonna? I'm scared."
No.
It was hilarious. Looking back, it's hilarious, but it is really interesting seeing the difference between like a Baptist church and a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, dude, that's pretty cool. So I grew up in a Presbyterian church, and if you've not heard, the joke is that we're the frozen chosen. It's not like we're on the other end of the spectrum where we're just standing there. I'm just kidding. No, like honestly, no. I really loved growing up in my church because, like, you know, like I said, we have like an offering song. If like a little kid came and sang a song, we would all just like be in tears. We'd be like applauding, like, "Oh, that's just like good job, guy! Like good job, little guy! Like praising the Lord."
He had the courage to go up there.
Yeah, and it was so good. And like I said, we had great pianists, great instruments, and you know, sometimes we'll clap if a song is bluegrassy enough. Most of us will. Some of us have trouble moving our arms like me. But anyway, I'm just kidding. Do you have something you wanna? Do you have like a segue into any of these others that you were gonna talk about?
Well, we did talk about like the meaning of what we're singing. So,
Yeah. Actually, we can talk more about that. Okay, because you were telling me about the that conference that you went to.
Yeah.
And how that
yeah.
really inspired you. So can you tell us more about that?
So I went to a conference in Pensacola. There was a worship conference with Brian that we just learned about like worship leadership more, and that really pushed me over the edge to like want to change my major.
Yeah.
It really made me like it gave me a peace about it, wanting to change and just wanting to like make my life about worshiping God,
Yeah.
like with what I do. And so the speakers were really great. Like it was really good, like learning. There was one lady that was talking about different kinds of worship. And I mean, a lot of times we like to put worship into kind of a box where we say, like, we refer to worship as music. And music is how we worship, but music is also how we live our lives and what we say and what we do, and just how we go about our daily lives is glorifying God in everything that we do.
Yeah.
So she made that distinction first, where it's like worship is not just song and singing. It includes that, but that's not its main purpose. It's glorifying God. But she went, since it is more of like a worship leadership conference, she went on to say like how we worship congregationally and how we worship individually.
Yeah.
How those two are separate. And like there's some songs like you hear on the radio that are more for individual worship.
Yeah.
It's like she says the songs that are focused on God are really the ones that should be sung congregationally. Like simple, like focused on like God's promises, and then the focused ones, like my relationship with God, are more of like individual worship where you worship God alone and like because I don't have a relationship with God on your behalf. Like I can't give you a relationship with God. So I don't know where I was going with that. Where was I going with that?
That's okay.
We can cut. But sorry, what was the question?
I don't even remember, man. We went on some sort of tangent.
We went on a tangent.
We went on a tangent.
That was.
I was basically just talking about like, what are some cool things you learned from the conference? Because you were telling me about it. I was like, Gabe needs to talk about that. So, I think you covered them though, unless you're thinking of anything.
There was another speaker.
Okay.
Though, there was another speaker that, he spoke really well, and like it was based on scripture and around scripture, and after it's like. We played a song after he spoke, and the leader of the conference came up and was going to, like, we had, like, to ask the speakers a few questions. It was more of like a Q&A that we had. It was cool. We did that with every speaker. And he was just like, I really don't know where to start. Like, I don't know what to start with. And the speaker was like, well, why don't we just ask God to help us where to start? So we stopped there and just prayed and just asked God, like, where should we go with this? What should we do? And it was comforting to know that, like, it's not just trying to base it off our own intellect, but more about what, like, where do you want us to go? Lead us in the direction you want us to go, God. It was really, really cool seeing that.
That's really cool. I feel like since we're doing a podcast on worship, like there's so many different, I was just thinking about this while we're sitting here. Like there's so many backgrounds, there's so many experiences, and I'm like, there's so much we could say about like what's good and like what's ideal and what's good. And that's such a good point about like, God's got to be in it.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I don't know. One thing I keep saying in this podcast is like, we don't have all the answers. Like we're trying to follow God. And that's why I interview random people. I say random people I know like you. And I'm like, Gabe, what's your experience? So, I don't know. That was just a good point where I'm like, it's like good to just ask God, like, how do we do this? What's interesting is like, now I say this carefully, but for a long time, I've been aspiring to write music just because music is something that really speaks to me. And that even in like the very few songs I've written, I've seen like, sometimes like God's like, here's inspiration. And then I just like write it. But it's something that I got to keep going back to him and like, just like actually just praying. Like that's really all I got to do is be like, okay, Lord, is this good? Am I being truthful enough? I'm being honest enough? I'm being too truthful? Like what's a good balance of all that? Man, like I just love music. So worship music's really cool because it's like music that we're praising God with, and there's like a lot of thought that goes into it.
Absolutely.
I also was going to say this earlier. So something that really has benefited me in college is like, I talk about this a little bit in the next episode, but as what has benefited me is like visiting different campus ministries and visiting different like churches and just experiencing like different denominations, just different style differences. So like I've been to multiple churches, and every time I go to a church that sings hymns, I'm like, I'm familiar with these. This is how I grew up. I love this. Like my home church had a really cool balance of like hymns and contemporary songs. So we had some of those that are more like individualistic. We had a couple of those, and then some more corporate contemporary songs. Then we had a lot of hymns, and I really love it because you get kind of like the rich, like the hymns have all these good themes. And then sometimes contemporary songs are a bit good, like they're a little bit more direct if you want to just like be kind of praising God. Mm-hmm. Maybe a bit more directly than like, because the hymns are so dense. And so I love that there's like a balance of that. And like even last semester, I visited this church frequently, Timothy's church actually. So shout out to Timothy. But they had a lot of like praise songs, and I like, I don't know, it was kind of cool to go to that for a while, and then but every time I go home, I'm like hymns, and so that's been kind of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like one thing I was gonna ask you is like, so it's like what have been some joys, and also let me rephrase that. What have been some difficulties you've faced in like doing worship in like high school and college? And what have been some joys in that process? And like, I guess I can throw in another one. Like, how has Christ met you in this? You can split that into different answers if you want.
Okay. Well, going like for difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
especially like starting out, like in the band for our youth team, it was like more of focus on what do people think about me? Am I good enough? Like, do I sound okay? Where that's not really the problem. Like it doesn't matter at that point.
Things
Because
you worry
like
about in high school.
you could be
So real.
completely tone deaf and just the Bible doesn't say like you have to be perfect. You have to be so good at singing this song. It's just make a joyful noise unto the Lord.
Yeah.
Make a joyful noise. It doesn't have to be absolutely. You don't have to be Celine Dion to sing. And just learning that, trying to like put aside like my personal like, what is it like? What's the word I'm looking for? Because it's, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's
I guess like worries, anxieties,
worries.
self-image, self-confidence.
In it starts with in. I don't know why I'm stuck on this word. It worries. Let's go with worries. That's fine.
Nervousness?
No, it's
Negation? That's not a word. Wait.
don't worry about it. We could go with worries.
Okay.
Yeah, but just putting those aside and focusing more on where my heart is, because that's ultimately like where we want to focus. Like, how are you glorifying God, or are you focusing on the people around you and what they think of you? And that could go for all like forms of life. Like, do I look okay? I mean,
Yeah. That's like something my
there's
dad
a balance,
said.
but it's like that, and that comes secondary to how God sees you as a child of God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of verses. It's like, please God, like worry about what God thinks. And so, yeah, I get that. It's a hard thing. I was gonna say that's like my dad says. He's like whenever you're evaluating a decision, you're like, oh, does this please God or please yourself? Like sometimes, oh, does it please God, but you also want to do it? Well, hey, that works out great. But, yeah. So like, what have been some of the joys that have come out of worship?
Joys. I guess it's, how do I say this? There's sometimes when I'm on stage and I look out into the crowd, like a lot of times like you're just focused on the words, like hopefully I don't mess up, like trying to like stay on point, I guess, trying to be all right. But you can look out into the crowd and just seeing people like with lifted hands and just worshiping God, just seeing people worshiping God, and not like they don't care about things that are going on around them. And it's really encouraging to see that, especially like you see God working through people that are in the crowd, and you see like him working in their hearts. It's really encouraging to see stuff like that.
I get what you're saying. Like I've seen that. It's like sometimes it happens other times, but like in just like passing conversations. But like, and I feel this a lot when I go to like the campus ministry I go to, RUF, will have these like conferences, and there'll be like big worship sessions. But I'll just see it like sometimes you like look at someone's face and like, yeah, like you said, you can like see God working. Like it's almost like the way I like to describe it is like it's almost like you're seeing a glimpse of how they'll be in heaven. Like you can just kind of see like that like pass over their face. Like wow, they're just like like so holy worshiping God, and like it might just be a second, but I don't know. That's what I love. I love it when I see that. Like that's just so encouraging.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah, man. Like, so one way I phrase this question kind of weird, but like, how has Christ met you in worship? So like, how have you come to know Jesus better in ways you wouldn't imagine? Like, how has he kind of stepped into you doing worship and met you there?
I guess it's like God has made me more joyful when worshiping, because it was more like once I stopped focusing on myself and like how people thought about me, focusing on God and like the words of the song and just like listening to what it made me more like thankful, I guess, about what he's done for us. Like we sing a lot of songs about him on the cross or him raising from the dead, and
Yeah.
we just it's so like it's so good to hear stuff like that, because I guess it made me more joyful. God made me more joyful, more thankful for him. It just kind of like the way that I worship is different than it used to be, I guess.
Well, that's cool to hear, man. Do you have like any favorite / personally impactful songs, like that just come to mind? Like, what are some of your favorite songs right now?
Oh, there's so many. Oh my gosh. Um, I don't know about songs because there's so many songs that I could choose from. I can go with artists.
Yeah,
like
hit me up. Give me some artists.
Like, I love City of Light.
Okay.
City of Light. They're really good. They do more kind of like modern hymns, I guess you could call it. It's kind of contemporary, but it's more like upbeat, more modern, like hymn-like songs where it's deep and it's rooted in scripture. It's like really, really good. That's one of, if not my favorite band. Nice. Oh man, another one. Oh, Sovereign Grace is really good. Sovereign Grace music.
Okay.
They take old hymns and like modernize them. They don't change the words. Sometimes they add like a chorus, I guess.
Yeah.
Like another chorus, and just going off of the lyrics that they had.
Yo.
And it's really, really cool to hear, because it's, I don't know, it's just puts it into more of a modern sound, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is what like I really like with the depth that you were talking about. It still has that. There's like Stephen Curtis Chapman, of course, is absolutely incredible with his music.
Yes.
That's more of like a personal worship like artist, where it's more of like focusing on like he plays around with it, but he does different things. It's really, but he's really, really good with his music. So those are, I could go on forever. I could keep going.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, but I'm like, yeah, I feel like it is good to have that personal worship music, even if music isn't like explicitly worship. I guess if it's like it's especially, I mean, obviously, well, words. Like, I think it's cool even just to listen to like music by Christian artists. But even like more for that personal worship music, it's like stuff that you can just like you can scream to God in the car.
Force Frank, the new I'm sporting, but the new song he comes out. It's he's really good too. The main lead singer for Surfaces, which I didn't know he was a Christian until now, and it was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, you were talking about like new songs to old hymns. Like I know there's another band called Indelible Grace that does that as well. They do a lot of RUF songs. So
Robert showed me.
Yeah,
it was those songs are really cool. I
Robert,
like 'em.
shout out to Robert Fortune,
Robert Fortune.
a legend of a man. Anyway,
What a guy.
what a bro. Yeah, man. Also, like while we're talking about like music, another like cool band I've discovered is the Grey Havens. So they have like a lot of I don't even know how to describe their music. It's like they tell stories, but the stories are all like it's all stuff from the Bible, but they tell it in such like a storytelling way. And it's really cool because like Christians who are like familiar with like the stories of the themes, like you hear it in a new light and you think about it in a different way, and it kind of reminds you of like there's an album I listened to driving back from our friend Clayton's house Saturday morning. One of their albums, Fire and Stone. It's about like, as far as I can tell, it's about like the joy that you get like from that we as Christians get from new life in Jesus, and it's just so cool. And like just thinking about it in weird different ways. So yeah, that I've totally been into that stuff recently. But
I've listened to a few of their songs. I like them.
Yeah.
I do like them. I wish I could listen to them more, but there's just so much music out there, bro. There's so much music.
Music's so good. With that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Gabe, do you have any last topics you can think to talk about?
Not that I can think of.
All right, cool. Well, Gabe, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for
This has
having
been
me.
such a joy to have you. With that, stop listening to our podcast and go listen to some music. Go praise the Lord.
Amen.
I'm gonna end with I always end with a random question, and sorry, I wrote it wrong on the script. Don't look at the script. But I always end with a random question that I think of in the moment to ask you. So let me think of a random question. Okay, if you could. All right, I'm gonna go with okay. So I haven't asked this one all semester, and I really want to ask it. But if you could have only one of these things for the rest of your life, I mean, like you could have other food too, but if like one of these, by choosing one, the other becomes extinct from the world, would you choose vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream?
Oh man.
Mind you, vanilla or chocolate flavor will not disappear. It will just never exist in any form in ice cream
Oh man.
if you select the other one.
I have to go with chocolate.
right.
Vanilla, it's good. It's just so basic. You know, I don't know.
But it's good
'Cause,
though.
like,
You gotta have it.
Yeah. Because vanilla is in so much ice cream. Like so many other stuff is with vanilla. But then if you choose vanilla, you can't have like.
I mean, like as a
chocolate.
flavor. I'm not ignoring like base flavors. Like I guess many other flavors are made with like a base ice cream that's not vanilla flavored. It's just like
Yeah.
sweet ice cream. I don't know.
I'd choose chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd still go
All
with
right,
chocolate.
good man. Yeah, whenever I go to Wendy's and I'm like, oh, I love they got rid of the vanilla Frosties. I'm sad. But
Wait, they got rid of
chocolate-
vanilla?
yeah, they keep replacing it with like seasonal flavors like strawberry or peppermint or I don't even know what's there now. But yeah, Frosties though.
Frosties.
Frosties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, lastly, as a plug, Gabriel, you do photography, right?
I do photography.
Do photography.
Not professionally. Just
But you take cool
as-
pictures though.
I take cool pictures. I've been borrowing somebody's like not professional, semi-professional camera
Yeah.
to try and take more cool pictures.
Cool pictures.
But yeah, I do that and I post like a verse with like a passage about it, like explaining it. Is every once in a while I've been trying to get more photos now so I can like start actually doing it. But yeah, it's a cool thing. It's cool.
Yeah.
Gabe Cathey Photography on Instagram. That's what it is.
There you go. Gabe
Yeah.
Cathey Photography.
It's cool. You don't have to follow, but if you want to, you can.
I just wanted to throw it out there since this is a
Yeah.
podcast about like art. I was like, art stuff. This man takes pictures. You should check him out. With that, yeah, thanks guys for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to share it with your friends. We're gonna have one more episode after this, so stay tuned or keep listening if it's already come out by now. And with that, be inspired, support artists you know, or make art yourself and integrate some rest from the love of Christ into your routine. Seek out beauty in real life.